Good morning, team. Happy Monday. What's going on? What is up, gang? We had quite a drop in the last couple minutes. I think there was something coming out about Iran. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, preparing to escalate tensions around the whole straight deal. I think that's what the reasoning for the drop was. We did have Canadian CPI earlier this morning. No other news today, but looming arguments between Iran and US. So it did come down and sweep the Tokyo low and got a little bit of a bounce, but it's a very slow, not convincing bounce. We have our pre-market Asia low down here at 166. And then our gap fill is closer down here in the 150s. So possible bounce spots, but really, like, if we're going to have a down day, this down here is the area that I'm really interested in. Down like 29,860s. Obviously, that's a very far drop down, so we could potentially find a short down to there if that's the case. But that bounce off of the Asia low was not very convincing, so we might see some more downside, especially with that news that came out, that headline. But I'm not going to come into the market with any sort of bias because obviously overall we're pretty bullish. If we stay above these levels, then we could be headed a lot higher. That's my initial thoughts on ES. We have a similar bounce zone at like 77.80s. I'd be interested in a long if we bounce there. What is gold looking like? So I took a couple shorts last night off of this supply zone that I had marked off. It went a little bit higher than what I marked, so my first one was actually a loss. But I re-entered again and took some money out of that trade. But other than that, it's kind of been chopping. So it rejected that zone, and then it came up again, rejected. It's kind of been rejecting it, but not really continuing down. So I'll watch this area down here at Asia low on gold, which is also right near previous week value area low. And I do pay attention to the previous session's VWAP close, which is down here at like 44.13. So there's quite a bit of interest in this area for me in terms of like a possible bounce zone on gold if we get lower. But we'll see if we actually get some movement on gold. A lot of times during the New York session, it doesn't move a ton. So see if we get anything exciting there. How was everyone's weekend? Iran put a 30K bounty on US soldiers? What? I didn't see that. I was just skimming the headlines. Ay, ay, ay. This whole thing's a mess. Yeah, we do have a gap at the Globex Open. You are correct. It's a tiny little gap. So that is a possibility. Cleared out the garage this weekend. Satisfying. You know, that's one of those things that I actually did some like psychology training, and one of the things they talked about was just clearing like the mental clutter. And one of the things was if you have something like a messy car, like where you just have random pieces of trash or clutter in your car and you see it every single day when you drive to work, or your garage, if your garage is just kind of cluttered and you see it every time you get in your car to like drive to work or whatever, or you know, that messy countertop that's just always cluttery, like that kind of stuff, it bugs you like every time you walk by, unless you're just, I don't know, you don't care about having anything clean, but I would say most people, it kind of just bugs you a little bit. But if you walk by it every single day, that can really add up. So something like spending a weekend cleaning out your garage can be super satisfying. I agree with that. Or like, you know, organizing your closet or something like that. It's the little things in life can be super satisfying. We got market open in 2 minutes. What are you guys thinking, chat? Is it gonna maybe get a little pullback and find some support and we're gonna have a bullish day? Or are we gonna retest some of these areas lower? Who has a crystal ball in the chat? Let me know. Where are we headed today? Because I don't know. My crystal ball is not working. Range bound GC. I am not a fan of that crystal ball prediction. I don't like range bound gold. But I feel like that's what it's been like in the New York session. No fun. Drop to 29K and then jump to all-time high in 2 candles. Well, it depends on what candles you're talking about. You're talking about 1-minute candles? I don't know. You're talking about daily candles? That's believable. We're about to find out. Market's open. Unfortunately, the market doesn't care what you think. I know, right? Sometimes I wish it would just listen to what I wanted to do. What do I think of Orb? I do trade the opening range break on the 15-minute. I am a fan. Alright, let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what's going on with this open. I'll switch my VWAPs from the VWAP band to the one with the New York anchored VWAP. And from here, we'll see what we get. So, Andy, your question about trading directly on TradingView, how do you handle prop firm glitches? When you're trading on TradingView, you're actually integrating, you're connecting to your Tradeovate or NinjaTrader account. So you're still actually taking your trades in Tradeovate. So if there is a glitch, it'll still be honored by Tradeify. Hopefully that answers your question. Yes, Janowak, I do use a trade copier. I use Trade Syncer. That's my preferred trade copier. They do have a promotion if you use code FMT. You get 30% off if you're interested in checking it out. And they have a free 7-day trial too. Good evening. Where are you located? Must be over in Europe, UK, London area. Your power went out right at the open. Oh, yeah, that's frustrating. Ah, you're in Thailand. Cool. I've been to Thailand once. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law were living out in that area for a little bit, so we went and visited them. And we took at the time, I think he was 13 months old, my son. So we didn't do a whole lot of the like crazy touristy stuff. We went to like the zoo and saw some elephants and a couple of more kid touristy things. But yeah, that was a fun trip. Minus the 22-hour travel time with a 13-month-old. Oh man. Don't know why I put myself through that. Man, it's a bit of a choppy open. Has not really hit any key levels that I'm interested in. So, just hanging out, waiting to see what we get. So during the New York session, I mostly trade NQ. I do watch ES for Confluence. Every once in a while, I'll take a trade on ES as well. I trade gold as well, but honestly, most of the time, gold is during the Asia session. I haven't had a lot of success with gold during the New York session. I find it, at least lately, has been pretty choppy. We are at previous day low on ES, but not a convincing bounce. A state fair, yeah. I definitely go to there's a couple in Texas. Um, the Houston Rodeo is a big one. Honestly, I don't love large crowds. I know that makes me sound like an old fuddy-duddy, but I don't know. I just don't like having to deal with like finding a parking spot, and especially now that I have kids, I think the paranoia has gotten worse because I have one boy who's wild, and I feel like I would lose him. Like, I'm literally afraid of losing him in a crowd. Um, so we don't really go to the rodeo that often. Plus, it's really expensive. You can't get out of there for less than a couple $100 if you want to ride a couple rides and like buy a funnel cake or something. But we have a little local fair in our small town that is awesome. So we usually go there. And it's the kind of fair that like the kids usually have their artwork displayed at. They have rides. They have the pigs that the FFA kids have raised, like that kind of stuff. It's really fun. All right, so came down to Asia low, but I'm on the 1 minute chart. We don't have a continuation candle yet. So, I mean, I'll see how this 1 minute candle closes. If it looks bullish, I might change my mind. But I think I'm watching for a little bit lower for it to potentially fill that overnight gap, which is down towards like 150-ish. No, M. Morris, the fixed range volume profile, I just mark off for the New York session on NQ. And then the previous day on gold, I don't keep it extending to the right. Well, that candle did end up closing bullish. Honestly, I think what's holding me back right now is ES. ES does not look like it's holding this previous day low. It looks like it wants lower. The difference between the two is throwing me off a bit. So I think I'm going to wait. We still also don't have our 15-minute opening range set yet. Well, dang, NQ. If ES is going to hold here, Alright, I'm grabbing along on ES. Someone was asking about Asia Low being mentioned twice. That is because this Asia Low right here was the Tokyo Low, so the 8 p.m. Eastern Open. And then this one right here is the overnight, like, pre-market Asia Low. So there's two of them. Yeah, the reason I chose ES is I felt like I would have been chasing it if I took a long on NQ. And then I'm thinking if ES decides to follow suit, it could continue up. But I don't know. NQ looks like it might be rejecting at that New York anchored VWAP. We might be coming lower. We'll see if it holds. Our opening range is almost set at this point. Aww. This will be my last coffee delivery, you guys. He starts school tomorrow. Thank you. Love you.
Bye, Mom.
Can you shut my door, please? Thank you. Yeah, he's a cutie. I almost made my own coffee and brought it upstairs, and he was like, no, I want to do it. I was like, all right, it's my last chance before you go off to school, so okay. Yep, back to school already. They start tomorrow. My daughter's excited. Like, she's been counting down the days until she gets to start school. She got her school supplies all ready, her backpack's ready. She got that ready like 2 weeks ago. She picked out her outfit. She has it all laid out. She's had it laid out for like 4 days now. She woke up this morning. First thing she said when she walked down the stairs was, we get to go to school tomorrow. It's so funny. The difference between her and my son, the one that just came in, he's like, I hate school. I'm like, sorry, buddy. You got a long way to go. All right. That did not work out. So, this is our 15-minute opening range low. Let's see what happens. ES is kind of peeking out of the bottom. Let's see where this next candle closes. Yeah, Maverick, you're absolutely right. I agree with that. Definitely better suited for girls. Well, shoot. I might try this again on ES. Giving it one more shot. So it is holding above. Dang it, I didn't change my VWAPs on this one. Let me take that one off. Kind of fighting to stay above that New York anchored VWAP. Let's see if it goes back to the other end of the range. Are we trading gold today? I did share some levels that I was interested in. If you were on earlier this morning. It never came back to that level, so I haven't taken any trades on gold. But the level that I was watching was if it came down to Asia low. And obviously it looks like it's going without, but I had this area an alert set at like 44.20-ish, 23. So the other possibility is if it rejects either London high or Asia high, but it has come up and retested this resistance area several times now. So it could just keep going. So yeah, no, it's not just in the title. Just haven't had any levels of interest come up. Do we need to fill the gap on NQ before things go bullish? Not necessarily. I mean, there's times when gaps take weeks to fill or they never fill. But there's definitely no signs of like momentum. GC pop, I know. I'm curious. Anyone in the chat take that? G-Man, did you take a long on gold? Yeah, volume does seem low. Might fall into the no news Monday category, even though we did have CPI, the Canadian CPI this morning. And then we had the headlines with Iran, so I am surprised it's this low. It's also the end of summer, which, you know, they say this is a slow time. Well, NQ is heading back towards the top of the 15-minute opening range. What are you doing, ES? The one time I take an ES trade, it doesn't move. I feel like the last couple weeks I've taken the trade on NQ, and ES was the cleaner one that was actually moving. Like, what the heck? Housing at 10, that must be a orange folder or a yellow folder or something that's low impact. Because I don't have it listed on mine and I have it filtered out to higher impact news. Alrighty, well, ES just is not ready to move. Is price action more logical after summer? I don't know if I would say logical, but there's more volume. So it just moves better. And a lot of the way I trade with like liquidity sweeps and breakout trend continuations and that kind of stuff, it's easier to trade when there's more momentum. How do you trade NQ looking at the ES chart? I kind of just use them as confluence. So a lot of times, like if NQ is bouncing at a key level and it looks like it might be reversing and ES is doing the same thing, it just gives me added confidence that the trade is potentially going to play out. Or also, like if NQ is bouncing, but ES has a little bit of room to go lower to hit a similar key level, then I might wait on NQ. Or if they're going in opposite directions, then I might wait. So a lot of times they move similarly. Not exactly the same, but pretty similar. So I was paying attention to the ES trade I was in, but if you guys did pay attention to the level I was talking about on gold coming up to Asia high, it did reject that. Well, ES is coming back down to the bottom of the opening range again. NQ is kind of just chopping in the middle. Not seeing anything I like on NQ right now. That rejection of the overnight high on gold is looking good. Where are we headed, NQ? What you gonna do? JP3, there you go. Happy birthday to you. What platform am I trading on? So I have the trading view is what you're seeing, and then I have my prop firm accounts in Trade of 8. At this point, I'm just waiting for either end of the range to either get retested and possibly take a reversal trade to the other end of the range, or if we get a breakout, not really given any clues as to where it's going. By the way, you guys, if you haven't hit the like button, go do that. I'd appreciate it. We got like 388 people watching, 93 likes. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. Yeah, tech, I usually do take them off. So, like this Tokyo low, for example, that doesn't really, not really necessary anymore. You're right. Once they've been swept, not super valid, not of interest anymore. Still dog, yeah, definitely waiting for initial balance at this rate. Or a bounce at a key level. So we have our 15-minute opening range low here. So far, it looks like ES is trying to hold the bottom of its range, but no continuation either way. How many losses do I accept in my trading plan? It depends. I have different accounts. If I have a bigger buffer, then so I go by daily loss limit. And if I have a bigger buffer, then my daily loss limit is bigger. And if I'm risking $200 per trade, sometimes that's 2 losses, sometimes it's 3. So it depends. Coming down to the opening range low. Might wait and see if it comes lower, because we do have that overnight gap, which is right around here at like 150-ish, 140s. So gap fill target would be 30,144. It did bounce at that opening range low, though. ES just looks ugly. Like, look at all those wicks on the bottom of that range on ES. All right, Waffles, have a good one. Croy, my win rate during New York is not that bad. The last couple weeks, it hasn't been great during the live streams, yes. But I've taken quite a few good trades after the initial balance has already been set and an alert goes off later after I log off on the live stream. Like, there's actually been a couple where I'll share a trade idea and be like, I'm watching for it to retest to this level, and the trade idea plays out perfectly. So I actually don't have a bad win rate during New York. On the live streams, yeah, it hasn't been great for a couple weeks. But yeah, don't judge someone's win rate based off of a couple weeks, please. That makes no sense. Yeah, Gary, normally I like the idea of a VWAP bounce, but a couple reasons I don't think I'm interested in it right now is one, VWAP is super flat. Um, Also, normally I would take, like, if it breaks out of the 15-minute opening range, I'll take a retest of VWAP and then, like, rejection, continuation short. But there was no close outside of the range. That looks more like a possible fake out and then continuation up. No, I don't necessarily feel stressed when I'm live streaming. I just think my win rate during the New York Open hasn't been great. But there's time, like a month ago, I had people that were copy trading me in the chat and they're like, thanks, I just passed my eval, or hey, I got a payout thanks to you. So, I mean, there's times when it's going well. So, I don't think it has to do with live streaming. I just don't always catch my winners at 9:30 or the first hour, hour and a half that I'm trading. All right. Well, definitely does look like it was a fake breakout of the bottom of the range. Where are we at in terms of the range? We're right at the midpoint of the range, the 50%. We are holding above VWAP. Not convincingly, though. Still choppy. I feel like longs and shorts are both getting wrecked right now, unless you're just taking scalps. But if you're trying to hold for long targets, it is not going. What does our volume profile look for the session? Coming down to value area low. Just with the way ES is looking right now, I don't see how NQ goes higher. Unless ES is just faking everyone out right now. Oh yeah, Rocky, I agree. You know, the positive to that is when there's this like low volume, bad trading scenario kind of stuff, it's a perfect opportunity for you to take time away from the charts. Whether that's a full on vacation or just a week off from trading or whatever. Because I think that is important. Sometimes we can like burn ourselves out with trading if we're just staring at the charts all the time. So a forced break is almost a good thing. So weeks like this over the summer, or like the week of Thanksgiving, the week between Christmas and New Year's, good excuses to get away from the charts. That was a tricky little thing right there. That bullish engulfing bounce off of the opening range low looked like it was about to break above the midpoint of the range, looked like it was trying to continue up. Said nope. What made me not take a long from there? Because ES looks droopy. No signs of continuation up on ES. That's the biggest reason that I didn't take it. Gary, trying to steal your winnings. I hope you're not trading this crap. Yeah, Jesse, that was a good trade, actually. Shorting from the midpoint of the range and that rejection of the anchored VWAP. So on this candle right here, this probably could have been the confirmation for taking the short. And the fact that ES was looking pretty bearish. But yeah, I could see where that would have been a good trade right there. I think the choppiness kind of threw me off. It's like I said on this part, that move up there, it kind of looked like, oh, well, maybe NQ's moving back to the top. And this ES looked bearish. So I was like, conflicting information, you know? But good read for you. All right, Sharon, have a great day. So we have 8 minutes until the initial balance is set. Honestly, it's not looking good for like a trend continuation good day on the initial balance. Might be more of a rangy day. Just because the 15-minute opening range is pretty much the same as the IB. That's not a good sign. Interesting wicks on ES. So possible trade idea on a NQ would be a potential failed auction. Like let's say the initial balance does end up finalizing right here. We have our overnight gap fill down here at that 144-ish. It could sweep that, and then if it gets a closure back inside the initial balance low, that could be a good failed auction setup. Something to watch for. Yeah, I saw that gold was pushing. So Remember I was saying that there's that resistance area that I initially took the short off last night, but it retested several times. I was like, I don't like the idea of taking a short off of this liquidity sweep area, because if it's retested it that many times, it could break through. There she goes. So zooming out, we have previous week value area high up here at 44.92-ish. And then we have all of these wicks right here. So could find some resistance up there, but looking pretty bullish. Are we trading Asia later on today? As in, what do you mean? Like live stream on YouTube? Probably not. Actually, I shouldn't say probably not. No, it won't be tonight. I I'm probably not going to do it much on YouTube. I am going to start doing it in my Discord group maybe once a week, because I can do it. I can be a lot more casual and have my screen off and mute myself. But probably won't be doing it for free on YouTube. Just too much stuff going on with family. If the first hour candle is red for QQQ, it ends up being red for the day 80% of the time. Is that true? Edgeville would show that data. Is that where you're seeing it, Cookie Monster? So it would be on the opening candle continuation report. I don't have that report up yet because we still have 2 minutes until the first hour candle. Two minutes until our IB is set. By the way, I mentioned this last week in Discord, but if you guys are on Instagram, come follow me. I'm going to be doing a Lucid account giveaway every day this week. Just with fun entries, like, you don't have to do anything crazy. It's going to be like, post your favorite GIF below and I'll pick the one that I like the best, or like, post your biggest tilt trigger or something like that. It'll be goofy stuff. But yeah, every day I'll be doing a Lucid account giveaway. So come follow me and join in on the fun if you guys want. I didn't say no more duck races, but I'm doing it in, no, Instagram. It'll be on Instagram. Once the IB is set, do I remove the orb? No, I don't. A lot of times the levels can just be relabeled though. Like was our 15-minute opening range high. It's also our initial balance high, so I can just change the name. Yeah, Marvin, very choppy. Yes, indeed. Well, I take a trade off the orb once the IB is set. It depends. So, like right now, the 15-minute opening range low is right around the same spot as IB low, so I probably wouldn't want to long here. Like if it comes all the way down to 164, I would probably want to wait until it comes to 157, just because it would likely retest there. Just my thoughts. But let's say, like every once in a while, maybe the 15-minute opening range high is here, let's say. And maybe it lines up with like the 25% retracement, and maybe VWAP is there. So if there's like lots of confluence for that area, and maybe I'm looking for like it broke out and I'm looking for a retest. So yes, that would be an example of I would pay attention to the opening range levels if it kind of lines up with other confluences and maybe I'm taking a trade off of it. So it depends. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's look at Edgeful. So, initial balance. Opening candle continuation. It's giving us a short bias because the first opening candle was red. A 70% chance. This is for NQ though, whoever was asking about QQQ. Looking at the inside bars report, so it's talking about if we opened within the range of New York session in the previous session, so Friday, which we did, there is an 89% chance that we'll break out of that range. And the previous day high is 280, previous day low is 30,028. So what this report is saying is that if we open within yesterday's range, the previous day's New York range, 89% chance that we'll break out of that range. So you can target either the high or the low, depending on if you're bullish or bearish. So the upside target would be 30,280. So if you're in a long, you can potentially target 280. If you're in a short, the downside target would be pretty much down at previous day low, 30,028-ish. That upside target of 280 kind of makes sense if you're in a long, if you think we're going to the upside. That's also the point 2 extension on the initial balance. Man, I love Edgeful. Good stuff. It just helps. So for me, I don't enter trades just because Edgeful says, like, it's going here. But the way I use it is if I'm already going to enter a trade, like maybe I want to enter a long, it gives good data for what your target could be. So instead of just having an emotional target of like, I think it's going to hit this home run target, if you have data showing that, like I said, that 280 target, 30,280, showing that 80% of the time it could hit that if you're long biased, it just helps kind of take the emotion out of it. For me, at least. That's why I like it. I have the $49 a month plan. I don't use any of the algo bots or anything like that, so definitely don't have the $2.99 option. Again, the difference between the two. So, from what I see, it looks like NQ is trying to break out. Like it's kind of consolidating here. Looks like it's maybe trying to break this trend line. Maybe it's just my eyes seeing what it wants to see. But ES continues to reject that New York anchor VWAP. And Q is like breaking above VWAP and then below, above and then below. It's super choppy around VWAP. So not as clear. So one thing to pay attention to is on the initial balance, this yellow line right here is the midpoint. That's the 50% retracement. The New York anchor VWAP is sitting right there. So if it does reject this area, that could be a potential short back down to the bottom of the range, possibly. I want to see what happens there at around 211-ish though. Custer Baylor, you're welcome. I'm glad you found it helpful. Edgeful is basically a software that backtests, provides a bunch of data and reports for you based on different strategies. So, like for example, I use it a lot for the initial balance. So it'll give you a report based on like how big the initial balance range is, what's the percentage likelihood that we're going to break outside of the range at all, what's the percentage likelihood that it's going to break out to just one side versus a double break, both sides. So it'll give you percentages on that. It'll also give you a percentage on the initial balance retracement. So if it breaks out of one end of the range and then it retraces before it continues, what's the percentage that it goes to the 25% retracement versus the 50% retracement? And then if it breaks out of the initial balance, how often does it go to the 0.1 extension? How often does it go to the 0.2 extension? So any like data that you can imagine, it has reports for all of that. And that's just the initial balance. It has the same thing for like the percentage likelihood that it'll trade to fill the gap, or the inside bars report that I just explained. It has some for like CPI data. So many different things. It is called Edgeful, and I'm going to put the link in the chat. NQ fueling up for a blast off, kind of looks that way. I'm potentially watching this level here, but it doesn't seem like it's rejecting. That's kind of what I was afraid of when I was saying earlier, like, that I had the hunch that it was accumulating to go higher. But it still could reject here. I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like I have a great read on it right now. It's super choppy. If it's going to reject, this would be the spot that I would think it would happen. Yeah, Deshaun, I don't know. My gut feeling is upside, but I don't like to take a trade based on a gut feeling, and the fact that ES is looking pretty weak. I think just overall, I don't love the price action either. There's like, even if I did get in a long, I would be stressing right now because it's choppy. Or if I took a short because it's maybe rejecting the midpoint of the range, I'd be stressing because it's choppy. Oh, I don't like it when it's like this. Do I anchor VWAP at the session open or the New York Open? I do both. I always do both. So this gray one is actually anchored at the daily open. So that is anchored at the 6 p.m. open. And it's gray because that's also the weekly VWAP. But tomorrow when it like re-anchors, it'll be dark blue. And this one right here is anchored at the 9:30 New York Open, the light blue one. Why are my red candles gray? Because I want them to be. I just changed my settings to look like that way. Tech leadership is mixed. Yup. That explains today. So normally, like if it was a clean, trendy day and I had a good feel on price action and it obviously looked bearish and then we were retracing to the midpoint of the range and I felt strongly about continuation down, like normally this would be a level that I would be all about shorting. But it doesn't feel that way to me. So I think I'm going to leave it. It looks like it might be continuing higher. But I know as soon as I take a long, it's going to reject and go back down to IB low. So I'm not going to take a long. I'm just going to watch it. I'm going to watch it go. It might be going to that 280 target from the inside bars report. Tina, are you still in your ES long? Okay. It's looking good for you. What do I use to anchor VWAP at 9:30? So I personally have an edgeful indicator and it anchors it for me. But what you can do is TradingView, if you have TradingView. The forecasting tools right here, go to the anchored VWAP. And all you do is click on the 9:30 Eastern candle and you can see that yellow line showed up. It went right over top of my blue line, so it's the exact same thing. That's all you do. And then if you want to anchor it at the daily open, just move to the 6 p.m. candle, same exact thing. Easy. Bye, Tina. Have a good one. There you go, Kyla. My goodness, $800 on a day like today. You should be pumped about that and you should lock up and get out of here. Seriously. That's impressive. Today was pretty choppy. Sitting above VWAP in the midpoint of the range again. So if you're in a long targets, somebody was asking me about edgeful. What I like to do is, again, I use the initial balance reports. I have it saved over here. So initial balance by levels. This is obviously making some assumptions. But if you're in a long and you think we're going to break out, you can go to the breakout days report. And this gives you extension. So there's a 95% chance that it'll hit the 0.1 extension. And if you have edgeful, there's an indicator that shows the extensions, but it's really just a Fibonacci extension. So all you would do is take your fib and go from the initial balance low, up to the initial balance high, and then change your indicator to add the 0.1, the 0.2, the 0.3, all those levels. But that's all it is. You don't have to have anything paid. But this is showing there's a 98% chance it'll go to the 0.1, 72% chance, so it drops off pretty significantly, that it'll go to the 0.2 extension. So I'm not in a long, but if I was, I would probably take partial profits at initial balance high and then maybe look to take most of it off at 276, because that is also in line with that inside bars report that I shared with you guys too. So that's just an example of how I use Edgeful, is kind of just putting some of the reports together with the trade idea that I'm already taking. And if things line up, that's where I take profit. The thing that I'm looking at, this is Edgeful. I posted the link in the chat a second ago. I can post it again if you want to check it out. Yep, it is a paid subscription. Well worth it in my opinion. But I totally get it. If you're not currently taking payouts or you're not profitable, then paying for another subscription when you're also paying for prop firm evals and maybe a TradingView subscription, like, it's more money out than is coming in. So I probably would not recommend it. But if you're taking payouts, then I think it's important to invest in your trading. And I think it's worth it, because $49 you can make up for that in one trade. No, I'm not doing any Asia sessions on YouTube. I don't know when I have plans to. So I'm talking about doing them in Discord, because like I said earlier, I can have it be more casual. I can turn my screen off and I can mute myself and like walk away if I need to, or help the kids with something. But on YouTube it's a little different, and I don't have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to just sit in front of the computer locked in my office by myself. It's hard to do that with all the stuff we have going on with our family. Yeah, Violet, actually sent out the recording to everyone who registered. So today, I sent it out this morning. So if you registered and you weren't able to attend and you wanted the recording, you should have gotten it in your email this morning. Well, NQ is trying to hold this New York anchored view up. ES is coming back down to IB low. See if we get a possible liquidity sweep off of that IB low and bounce back up. Possibly take a trade. Man, I wanted it to come down and actually hit IB low. It might be bouncing early. Come on, yes. Come a little lower. All right, Gary, have a good one. Dang, man. Don't know if it's just going to blast off from here or if it is going to retest that low. Well, it's headed towards the anchored VWAP. Why do I want to take a reversal from that level? Gut feeling? No, not really a gut feeling. Like I said, ES and NQ often are correlated. And initial balance low is a lot of times, if you're looking at range trades, it's a good reversal level. Well, I can wait for it to either hit initial balance low on ES, or if it breaks above VWAP and closes above VWAP, we could get that continuation back up. My take profit didn't get set. Oh, it did. It's just way up here. That's funny. May have been slightly bad idea just because NQ is kind of hitting a resistance spot. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, that target on NQ, that was hit. So one thing on the inside bars report that I was sharing is it says there was a 86% chance, whatever it was. It was pretty high. Let me look so I'm not lying. 89% chance that it'll break out of yesterday's or the previous day's range. So if I turn that off and turn this on, so the previous New York session, which is this blue range, 280 was the high of the previous New York session. To me, breakout means like not just to reject at that level, but to possibly continue. Let's look at what it says for ES on that report, on the inside bars report. That'll be interesting. I didn't even look at ES. 84% chance. Oh, but the previous day low was already touched. The previous day high was 78.30. Oh, dang. I don't know about that. All the way up to 78.30. That's a big target. All right, Phoenix, have a good one. Man, I feel like I need to go poke ES with a stick or something. NQ's coming back down. I don't know, chat. I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere. Might just be one of those things where I set it and forget it. curious to know why I'm trading when NQ is trending? I don't follow your question. Oh, trading ES when NQ is trending. I guess my thought is that ES was going to follow suit, and I felt like by the time I was convinced actually that NQ was going to go up, like it chopped around VWAP for a little while and it was unconvincing, and then once it actually moved up, I didn't want to chase it with a long. So my plan of attack was to enter the long on ES, hoping for the continuation, but I don't know. We'll see what we get. Just tuning in, are we thinking a long off of IB on NQ? Or talking about IB high? No. I mean, you can. I probably won't just because I'm in the ES trade, but might not be a bad plan. So ES technically still has not broken out of its IB range. It hasn't hit either end of the range. So looking at some of the ES reports, ES reports for initial balance are actually giving us a short bias, but NQ has a long bias on some of them. Interesting. Makes it tough when they're pointing in the opposite direction. Leomon, you should be able to. So I assume, are you trying to group them in Tradeovate? Have you tried refreshing your screen and creating a new group? Should work. Try refreshing. Hopefully you use code Krista for those accounts. Ay, this is painful. Are we finally gonna get some movement? Let's go. The selected group account must contain the current account. So on your Trade of 8 account drop down on the top, make sure you've actually selected the new accounts that you are trying to trade. You probably still have the old accounts selected. Leomon, if they were blown funded accounts, they will not be removed until the end of day. Tradeify does that automatically. So just leave them there, and they'll, at the end of the day, it'll all get reset. It's finally going, you guys. I feel like a little kid trying to like learn how to ride a bicycle. I don't know why my brain is thinking that, but it just feels like it's so slow. And ES was like falling off, and now we're going. We finally got some momentum. We got this. Let's go. Oh, and then as soon as I say that, it's gonna reject and hit my stop loss. I need to just shut my mouth. So on the 5 minute, we got a decent, strong candle out of this chop. Let's see if the 15-minute candle actually closes strong. We got about 7 more minutes on this one. We shall see. I'm one of the smartest blondes out there. I don't know. Is that a compliment? Is that a backhanded compliment? I mean, for a blonde, you're smart. It's kind of like someone saying, for a girl, you're pretty strong. But like, boy, I can lift more weight than you. Shut your mouth. I actually had someone in one of my chats, in one of my comments, say something like that. Like, for a woman, you're pretty smart. Oh, you better believe I had to like hold my tongue on that one. I get so I get that living in the United States, I am very like privileged as a woman. There's some countries where women deal with a bunch of unfortunate stuff, but oh, that made me mad. I'm thankful that it was like a chat comment so I could think about it and pause a little bit before I said what I really wanted to say. If someone said that to me in real life, it'd be hard to hold my tongue. They must not be married yet. Well, yeah, I guess it depends on what country they live in. And I'm not trying to like start a whole political debate, but yeah, all I can say is I'm very thankful that I live in the United States. Oh yeah, no. JP fan, I didn't take that from you at all. That's why I replied with a sarcastic comment in return. I was making jokes too. Am I in a 60-minute initial balance trade? It feels like I've been in it for 60 minutes. Yeah, so the idea behind this trade was I was actually waiting for it to come all the way down to retest the initial balance low, and it didn't. So I got in once it started to break above VWAP and actually get some momentum. Like if you see it on the 5 minute chart, you can see that that part right there is what made me enter. Plus the fact that NQ was just blasting back up to the upside. So that was the reason for the entry. Why do I put misleading data in my thumbnails? What does that mean? What's the misleading data? I'm curious. Did I like forget that I was trading Asia? Is that what's going on? This feels super slow. LOL asking about the Asia stream. Did you watch the video that I posted on how I trade Asia? It's actually pretty simple. Like if you go back and look at yesterday's yesterday's Asia session on NQ. Mark off the Tokyo Open at 8 p.m. Eastern. And then watch the retest for it. I think it was at like 9 p.m. It was a super clean retest of Tokyo. Like, it's really that simple. That's how I trade it. So, look. This right here, this line, I'll make it yellow so you can see it. That line was the Tokyo Open. So my chart is in Central Standard Time. So this is 7:30 for me. Like that was the Tokyo low. And then it came back down and retested that. And you could have taken a long back up to the Tokyo high. This was the previous Tokyo high right there. So retest of the low all the way back up to the high. Like it's really that simple. Obviously it doesn't always play out, so wait for confirmation. But look, that 5-minute bullish engulfing candle, you could have taken a long right there after it closed, put your stop loss below that range low. Tight stop loss, only 11-point stop loss all the way back up to the top of the range. That's a 4-to-1 risk to reward. So all I can say is like start watching it, start paying attention to it. The opportunities are there. Which setup is that for Tokyo? Check out my video that I just posted a couple days ago. I explain all of that I just mentioned. That was from the Tokyo Open, yeah. Tokyo session opens at 8 p.m. Eastern. Alright, this thing is not going anywhere. I'm getting annoyed. That 15-minute candle had a decent closure. But now this next candle is just rejecting all the way back down. ES is rejecting too. All right. I don't love it. Coming back towards the 25% retracement on this on NQ. Well, it's not looking good for my trade. I think what I'm going to do is just set this sell order at initial balance high in case it does get up there. But I'll let it play out either way. And then probably hop off. I am not trading live tomorrow, you guys, because it is the first day of school for my kids. So I'm going to walk them into class, and that'll make it so that I can't really trade the New York session open. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I can trade live tomorrow. I will just be a couple minutes late. So I'll share that in Discord. I probably won't be on right at 9:30. It'll just be like 9:45 or something like that. But yeah. You guys have a good afternoon. I will see y'all later. Take care.